So, I don't do a lot of football videos. I have maybe 3 on this channel. I've made easily over 100 videos. I think I did one on Antonio Brown, one on Tim Tebow, and I think the first ever video I did was like a mix of basketball in high school and football players that were underrated in high school but became NFL and NBA superstars. So those are the only like football videos I have. But I do want to expand. I don't want to just remain a basketball channel. I want this to grow and become a full-on sports channel. I think that not only allows me to reach out to more audiences, but also allows me to expand my content where I'm not just limited to one thing. And I do want to talk about this DeAndre Hopkins today. I think it's a good point to kind of expand on. And DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. He got traded from the Houston Texans to the Arizona Cardinals alongside a 4th round pick for David Johnson, a 2nd round pick, and a 4th round pick. Okay, to put this trade into some perspective for you, for an NBA standard, because I know a lot of you guys tune into this channel to watch basketball, the way I would describe this trade to you would be if you were to trade current Damian Lillard, who's one of the best players in basketball, and you traded him for 2015-2016 Darren Williams, who was a star at one point but clearly is on decline. And that's what it is. Because, David Johnson, first 2 years in the league, he looked like he was well on pace to be one of the best running backs in football. Had an injury that only had him playing 1 game. And then in year 3 and in year 4, he struggled behind a poor offensive line, had 3.6 yards per carry, which isn't good at all. That, I would say, 3.6 yards per carry, that's the equivalent of shooting under 40% from the field in the NBA. So there is that. And then this year, again, struggled, had injuries. Then the Cardinals acquired Kenyon Drake from the Miami Dolphins. And Kenyon Drake kind of took off and played like an elite running back. So he really didn't have a place. But at one point, he was elite and probably worth trading for in a deal involving DeAndre Hopkins. Now he's not even close to that. So that's the first problem. Second problem is the Texans didn't get a 1st round pick in return. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the 20 best players in football. I would argue maybe even closer to top 15, top 10. He consistently has been an all-pro level player throughout his entire career, despite until the Texans got Deshaun Watson, being in a situation where he didn't have great quarterbacks. Brock Osweiler, Case Keenum, Matt Schaub, maybe, I don't remember completely, but, not great players. And Tom Savage as well, that's another name you can remember. But consistently, he has been great. 2015, 111 catches, 1,521 receiving yards, 11 receiving touchdowns. 2017, 96 receptions, 1,378 receiving yards, 13 receiving touchdowns. By the way, that led the league. And, he's been consistently an all-pro level player despite not having a great quarterback, which is incredible because, part of being able to be a great wide receiver is having a good quarterback. Look at the Saints. They have Michael Thomas, they have Drew Brees. Remember back in the day, Tom Brady and Randy Moss. You look at Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders when they had Peyton Manning, Tony Romo and Des Bryant, Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens, just to name a few, Big Ben and AB, things like that. The only other receiver I can really think of that really produced at an all-pro level, despite not having the greatest quarterback, would be Odell Beckham Jr., who produced at a historic rate, despite not having Eli Manning as a quarterback. And then again, even with that, Eli Manning was probably better. No, he definitely was better than a lot of the quarterbacks that DeAndre Hopkins had before Deshaun Watson, of course, arrived in town. But this is just a horrible trade for the Houston Texans. You lose an all-pro talent, and you look at the Houston Texans, you look at what they have so far as weapons go. They had David Johnson, which give or take shouldn't matter too much. He's okay. He's not what he once was. Duke Johnson's a good receiving back. You'll get the roster. Will Fuller, he's good when he's healthy. That's the one thing with him. That's the problem, actually. He can't fully stay healthy. Kenny Stills is a solid wide receiver, but he's nothing special. They don't really have a great tight end weapons, and this whole team's a mess. Like, they have solid players, like, Laramie Tunsil's one of the best tackles in football. Titus Howard seems to be solid. He's a rookie. Maybe he'll look to improve. And then, but other than that, J.J. Watt, depending on his health. And then Justin Reed. You got good players, but you don't really have a lot of options, really, for Deshaun Watson. And I'm not saying he relied on DeAndre Hopkins, but, when you have DeAndre Hopkins on your team, it does take your offense to another level, especially when you have such a bad head coach like Bill O'Brien. And Bill O'Brien, who was the general manager, I think he needs to be fired for this, because you don't trade away when you have a young quarterback and you have who's shown that he's a Pro Bowl level player who has potential to become an MVP, because Deshaun Watson does have MVP potential. You don't trade away a wide receiver like DeAndre Hopkins, especially when, he alongside Deshaun Watson has helped you get to the playoffs consistently. And, the fact that they didn't get a first round pick in return for DeAndre Hopkins, who was worth the 8th overall pick that the Cardinals currently hold, it really is ridiculous. And again, you don't see this every day. You don't see things like this in sports. Like, you don't understand. Like, DeAndre Hopkins, and again, I've seen wide receivers get traded before. But it's usually like they're in their 30s, or they're like 30, 31, and they have off-the-field problems, and they cause a lot of drama. DeAndre Hopkins does not cause drama. He's not a locker room problem. He goes out and he performs, and he lets his game do the talking. He's one of the best route runners. He can catch a jump ball when he wants, and he can make some of the most spectacular catches, and is really good after the catch as well. He's just a complete package player. He's only 27 years old, and the prime of his career. Will continue to play at an all-pro level in Arizona more than likely. And, it's funny to me for Arizona. Larry Fitzgerald, it's probably his last year in the NFL, and they can transition from Larry Fitzgerald to DeAndre Hopkins, and I think that's insane. I think this move now means that the Cardinals will probably take an O-lineman with that 8th overall pick in the draft. I think you're looking at Mekhi Becton. I think you're looking at Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Andrew Thomas, bunch of names. You can all come up if you want. And really, though, again, you don't see this a lot. You really see this. Teams love guys like DeAndre Hopkins, especially at the wide receiver position, because, the wide receiver position, Odell, Diggs, Michael Thomas, AB's on a whole nother spectrum compared to them as far as the drama or the prima donna attitudes, but you don't really see a guy like Hopkins who kind of just lets his game do the talking. And, he does have a little bit of confidence. He can be a little cocky at times, but, I think that it's more than justified to be a little cocky when you're as good as DeAndre Hopkins is. I'm willing to bet that all the AFC South cornerbacks are happy with this move. I'm also willing to bet you that I'm happy because, we get to see, depending on if Ramsey gets extended and stays in LA, we get to see Jalen Ramsey versus DeAndre Hopkins twice a year again. And I remember when Jalen Ramsey was in Jacksonville, that was like the most fun cornerback wide receiver duel to watch. And I hope we get to see that more now. But with that being said, what are your thoughts? Do you like seeing football videos like this? If you're new, please feel free to like and subscribe. I make videos talking about the NBA. Now I'm making videos talking about football as well. And what are your thoughts on the trade? Who won the trade? I'm pretty sure everyone will say that the Cardinals won this trade. What kind of drugs are you on if you think the Texans won this trade? What are your thoughts on that? And have a nice day.